Hello friends, this is Chandra from Mac Technologies and welcome to Top Brass. Today is the CEO Roundtable and let me welcome my friends. Our first guest is Ms. Farida Charania. She is the CEO of Career Zoom. She joins us from Singapore.
Hello everyone.
Welcome to CEO Roundtable, Farida. And our second guest joins us from UK, my friend and chairman of MindFit Limited, Mr. Neville Gaunt.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. Looking forward to a really good discussion this morning.
Likewise, Neville. And our final guest is from India, Ms. Kanchan Verma. She is CEO of Mac Technologies. Welcome to
Hello. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing all? How things are at your end?
All well,
Yes.
Kanchan. All well, Kanchan. So today's subject is the elevator pitch. And why we have this subject? Because many people don't know the importance of an elevator pitch. And even if somebody knows the importance of elevator pitch, they don't know how to make that. So, when I meet somebody in the corridor and I ask them what they do, their elevator pitch goes for 15 to 20 minutes. So that is so funny. So what do you guys feel about this?
Well, let's go. The elevator pitch, 15 to 20 minutes. Sounds like the elevator got stuck somewhere along the line. Because the whole point of an elevator pitch, as we all know, is it needs to be maximum, 30, 40, 50 seconds. It's a short conversation where you get in the elevator at the bottom of the building and you get off at the top of the building and you've influenced somebody along the way. And that's the whole point. You're pitching to somebody. The origins of it is, believe it or not, comes from Hollywood many years ago when they were pitching scripts, and scripts were in their thousands. So this isn't a new thing. It's not a business thing in many respects. It comes from the movies. So we need to take a bit of a script from that, because the movies need a script. You've got a limited time, so make sure you've got a good script.
I think elevated pitch is very, very essential in terms of emotional and business related conversation. And I think the way you interact with your client or individual, that makes hell of difference, because what is your body language, that also deals very highly when we go into elevated pitch. So I think elevated pitch has to be small, and then you should have few keywords so that you can impress your client, and you should not be afraid of repeating these keywords. And it's small and then impressive.
Excellent, actually, because this is something which is very close to my heart. I'm an ex-banker, and in the banking world, we believe if you don't have a product description, the product doesn't exist. Yet there are cases where certain products are sold for many years and you can't find a description anywhere. So, a proposition, a service, or a product without an elevator pitch is something like that. That okay, you sold it, but at any point in time, if you put on the spot, it might be very difficult to explain it in a brief 20-30 seconds. Many years ago, when I started my first business, I actually used to go up and down, actually in an elevator in one of the buildings. I won't name it because people who have not figured it out could figure it out by now. But I used to have a day pass, and I knew that the decision makers for that particular company would be going up and down in the elevator from the cafe at any point in time. And that was my opportunity to engage them. So to basically just, summarize this, it's an opportunity to be brief, be clear, convey your USP, make it very specific to your audience, identify the benefits really quickly, like Kanchan said, with a few keywords, make a very compelling call to action, and extend an invitation for further engagement and speaking more. So this is an opportunity for anyone to basically pitch either in the elevator or in the corridor, but it's an opportunity to elevate, talk about your product, and get the other party interested in your product or proposition.
So elevator pitch is like a brochure. In fact, many people don't understand, what is the sales or marketing methodologies. So elevator pitch has its position, and it is meant for people to remember you by your keywords. They may not remember your name. They may not remember, what your company name is, but they would remember the keywords in your elevator which you have used. For example, if Farida, let me go back to your example, which is related to banking. So if the elevator pitch says deposit and make money, grow money, people will remember that. But if they say, hey, this is something like a 5-year plan, and it will work like this in a cumulative manner, it will have interest twice a year or once a quarter, people don't remember none of this. They will not remember your product, and they will also not remember your elevator pitch. So this is what I feel.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, CK. This is about leaving the person with a memory so that they remember who you are. And you don't have long to do that. We always know that when we meet people in a networking arena, everyone is talking about the elevator pitch. So, but the key thing is you need to be aware of who the other person is. So if you see someone in a networking arena and they're very timid, they're standing to one side, they've just about got their coffee or their tea, and they're looking around in a sort of a very, scared type of way, it's absolutely pointless walking up to them and saying, hello, my name's Neville Gaunt, and this is what we do, because you'll frighten the living daylights out of them. So what you need to be doing is recognizing who the audience is and adjusting your pitch accordingly. And the nice thing about that is you need to practice. And Farida, it did make me laugh because I had a flashback moment to one of the really big management consultancies that used to, as part of their training program, tell their students to do what you did. Go in the elevator, go and experience it. We can tell you how long the elevator takes, but go in and experience it and ask the questions. The first question is, ask the question to yourself, who am I? Try to answer that one, because that is probably the most difficult question to answer. You can say what you do, and you can probably say how you do it. But answering the question, who am I? And if you can answer that very succinctly, emotionally, so that you have an engagement with yourself, more to the point, then you've really cracked the elevator pitch, because that's the question you need to answer every time. Because remember, the person on the other side is assessing who you are by what you're saying. Are you engaging? Are you interesting? Are you challenging me to think? Or are you just throwing stuff at me like a typical salesperson? Whack. This is what we do. This is how we do it. Do you want to buy it? That's not an elevator pitch. That is literally, here's my brochure. I'll talk to you later. That's not an elevator pitch either. So I think we need to work out. And I'm surprised the elevator pitch has lasted as long as it has. I would have thought by now, because we change the labels so often in the business world. It used to be a leader, and then we had a thought leader. Now we have an influencer. So, but the elevator pitch seems to have had a remarkable resilience to have not been changed. I'm wondering who's going to come up with it's a Twitter pitch, or it's a Facebook pitch, or it's a social media pitch, or it's a WeChat pitch. I mean, TikTok has gone now, so we can't do that one really in many respects. But I hope we're getting the message over to people out there. This is a conversation, and that's all where you need to start. So you need to be comfortable in it.
I have something to add to it. I'm just going to pick up from where Chandra was talking about. People make their elevator pitch like 15 minutes long. That's the inability to actually define their product really, really quickly. I like to share an example. When you go to the supermarket, always the name of the product and the one or two keywords are in the forefront. Nobody ever puts the list of ingredients in the forefront. If you are interested in the product, you take the product, then you read, okay, sugar, walnuts, emulsifier, blah, 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 blah. But what attracts you is the Hershey's chocolate syrup, because nobody ever puts a list of ingredients on the forefront. And that's exactly the same thing about elevator pitch. I could go on and on about my methodology at what my team does at Career Zoom, but nobody gives a damn. But my quick pitch is that it's a CXO on demand. And that is something that resonates with my audience. They are able to quickly identify whether that's something they're going to use or not. And that's going to determine whether we are going to have further engagement or not. There is no point in me going on for 15 minutes and turning that elevator pitch into a train pitch or a bus pitch, because you don't actually have that much time with someone.
Yeah, I'll take this point from Farida, but I also want to add that knowing the product and service is also very essential, and the power of language. You have to be very good. What sentences you have to use, and how many times you have to really name the product, like how to display the product in a limited time, and then the power of language comes into it plays a great role in that. So for elevated pitch, I guess it is very, very essential to know the product, to know the service, and have a wonderful control on the language and the utility of the time in the elevator.
You're absolutely right. And the other thing is, remember, if you're giving an elevator pitch, the person you're giving it to, you don't know. You may have seen them before, but you don't know them. So I always say the best way to give an elevator pitch is to ask the other person who they are and what they do. Then at least you're giving yourself the opportunity to adjust your conversation. Because like anything else, Farida, if you went into the elevator and you were ready to give someone a pitch and you had a banking product that you thought, I'm going to try this one out, you're in the elevator where there's another banker, but you haven't thought that because you're so keen to get your pitch out there. Now, if that other banker knows everything about your particular product, you're just wasting your time talking to them about your product because they know everything anyway. So the best way here is when you start an elevator pitch is find out who on earth are you talking to. What do they do? Where do they work? What's their favorite color? Ask around the subject, because that means they think you're interested in them. But please don't do this. Don't impersonate someone that's interesting in other people. Be interested. Be curious about what the other person does. And as I say, you never know. I mean, if you'd have met another banker and said, Farida, oh, hi, my name's Farida. What's your name? What do you do? And they say, well, I'm the chief of, export banking or something. Immediately gives you an opportunity to work out the type of experience that person has. So then you can ask the next question. Oh, really? I know this person. They work in that area. Do you know them? And all of a sudden, you're not pitching, but you're building a relationship. And that is the forefront of pitching. This is so easy to do when you practice it a lot. But in the first instance, it's a bit like driving a car on day one. When you've never got in the car before, it's going to be clunky, and you might have kangaroo juice, because you've got the clutch or the wrong gear, So there are sort of realities of life that we need to take into this elevator type of arena and just practice it, because the more you practice, the easier it becomes.
Absolutely.
So let me add to what Farida and Neville have said is basically the elevator pitch objectivity. Why we need an elevator pitch? That is the question. So the question is, like Neville said, people don't know you. You're meeting them probably for the first time, and the elevator pitch is required so that whoever you have met just now remember you at least for 15 days, or 20 days or 1 month. So the remembrance is what the elevator pitch is all about. So let's go back to the example of banking product. Now, we all know that all the products are very similar, from HSBC to Bank of America to ABN AMRO. I mean, their products are for deposits and loans are all similar because all of them are regulated. So how customer decides whether to buy the product from ABN AMRO or a similar product from HSBC? It is all because of the elevator pitch, because people perceive, hey, this product is better, whereas the other set of people will perceive, hey, ABN AMRO product is better. So it's basically how you speak and how you make an appeal of the same thing. And the same example is also true for telecom companies. Hey, you buy from me, pay me $30 a month, and I will give you XYZ. But the thing is that everybody is offering that XYZ. So the elevator pitch for telecom companies matters. And similarly, elevator pitch for everyone is very, very important.
We often forget actually why people buy from other people. And if you're in this world of consultancy, because that's where the elevator pitch is, or if you're in this world of digital presentations, trying to get your product above everybody else, is that people buy from people. But like anything else, this phrase has been shortened over the years because there's another part of the phrase that's really important, but everyone ignore and forget. People buy from people they know and trust. So the purpose of this pitch is to get people to trust you, to believe in you, to understand who you are. Then they may buy from you if they see consistency in your pitch. If they actually like you, a lot of people are driven by, do I like that person? Even today, lots of consultants actually get work because they're liked by their organization. Not that necessarily they're the best, but they actually feel comfortable with that person or that team. And they know that they're getting some results. They may not be getting the best results, but they're getting some results. And in the consultancy world, we know how difficult it is to displace an incumbent consultant because you're up against a known entity and you're an unknown entity. And that's the whole purpose of this pitch. It's to close that gap. So at least people understand who you are, what you do, and why you may be better or different from their current incumbent. So don't underestimate the value of a short conversation with someone in an elevator. And as they say, what goes up must come down.
So I think there is a place for everything. For example, every company has a mission statement, and the elevator pitch has to be driven from the mission statement. So that is step number 2. And the step number 3 is your half pitch elevator. So you have a 15 seconds elevator, and then you have a half page, like a 1-minute elevator. And then in the end, you will have a brochure. So I think the first thing is to get your mission statement right, and then you get your elevator pitch right, and then you get your half page pitch right. So you are actually making sure that your listeners, your clients, your audience are actually progressing one after the other. Now, suppose, as Neville said that, there are consultants and they are sitting in front of a class. What is the impact if the trainer or a consultant speaks that 15 minutes thing in the beginning itself and then come back to 15-second bit after that? It's a total disaster. So that is why if you have been given a 1-hour slot to speak, you first make your mission statement, then you make your elevator pitch, and then you make your half page pitch, and then you talk about what the subject line is. So you are actually making sure that the audience are walking with you and they are at a place where you want them to be.
Yeah, that's very true. I think, I mean, any decent trainer or presenter knows that you win the audience at the beginning, because everyone judges people really quickly, and this isn't a 21st century thing, and it's not a millennial or a Gen Y or Z. We have always judged people very quickly, even from a distance. You know, is it friend or foe? Can I trust this person? Is this person worth talking to? Do I like them? Do I like the look at them? You know, oh, they're a lot bigger than me, I'm fearful. You know, we automatically judge people. Therefore, you've got a very narrow window. You might call it an elevator window. You know, you've got a very narrow window to make an impact. And a lot of people make a judgment call on your first impact.
Yeah.
And that is so powerful in their memory. It's actually one of the things that stop those people performing and moving forwards. Because if you don't like the teacher, even if the teacher is going out of their way to make you change your mind, too late. You've already made your mind up. And the majority of people, vast majority of people, over 80% of people, make that judgment call very quickly. So when you walk up to somebody in an elevator, whatever it is, when you're pitching, a big beaming smile actually has a big impact on the person that's watching you. So there are ways to do this really well, and they're not tricks. It's a process that works, and it works every single time. But the interesting thing is you've got to own it. So if you're having a bad day and you have got this big presentation to do, you need to G yourself up, or however, to give that presentation. And it has to be your best effort every time. We used to have a phrase in my industry was, you're always on parade. Now, I wasn't in the army or the navy, but we were always on parade. So when I was traveling, wherever I was, apart from in the hotel room with the door shut and no one can get in, that was my time. Every time I shut that door and went down the corridor, that was the business time. That was my employer's time. And I had to be on parade. And if you can do that, you can be really successful at this. And it is so easy to do once you get into the discipline and once you start to practice. And remember, it's the audience you're talking to that's really important. Any presenter knows this. So the key message I think I've got today is, who are you talking to? Find out who they are first, and it changes the way you pitch to them, always.
So one thing I like to say here is, while people create their companies and they don't bother to build their elevator, their mission statements, and their brochures, they think that no, I have a product. The product will sell by itself. So that is the confusion number one. And the confusion does not remain there. Now, if you get into a conference room and somebody says, "Hey, why don't you introduce yourself?" That introduction will also go for 10 minutes. All you have to do is tell your name and what you are and where are you from. So I think the confusion really starts from that point, where people don't know even to, introduce themselves.
So I feel that when we talk about elevator pitch, it's very, very essential to take along the person, individual or a team. Apart with it, you should not be scared of asking some challenging question and be intermingling emotionally along with the business. So that makes a lot of difference once we are talking. Maybe a small talk will make a lot of difference once we are we have a small window, as Neville said. So it's, I think it needs a practice to really do a good elevated pitch.
So I'll just attempt to kind of, summarize what we all actually kind of, put our thoughts on an elevator pitch. The key is that you need to know who you are speaking with. So find out a little bit about the person you're going to pitch to. Doesn't need to be long, but genuinely find out what they do so you have some time to do your mental adjustment as to how you're going to present. Be brief, be clear, make it very specific to your audience. Again, that's extremely important. Highlight your benefits, identify the problem and what is your solution, and make a compelling call to action. This is an invitation for the other person to further engage with you, and therefore the elevator pitch is the most important 30 to 60 seconds that you're going to have with that person, because it's going to drive your future relationship. So I feel that very briefly, very clearly and concisely convey your product idea or your USP to the other side. That's the definition of an elevator pitch. And like Neville said, everything has changed. The way we look at people, the way we look at leaders, etc. But elevator pitch has stayed. And the idea has come from Hollywood movies, but it has stayed for so long, across so many years, across so many generations. It has had to be very successful, and that's why it stayed. So we all need to polish our elevator pitch and make sure that we are at our best when we deliver it.
In fact, I remember about Hollywood, and recently I was watching a program where this presenter called Conan O'Brien, and somebody asked him, "Hey, do you have a card?" And he showed his card, and believe it or not, his card has only his eyes. So his card has only this portion. It's a fantastic elevator pitch.
I've had some fantastic business cards handed to me over time, and many taking that as taking a leaf out of that one's book. I've had business cards where the corner's been chopped off, deliberately chopped off, but it looks like it's like a frayed edge, so someone couldn't be bothered with the card, but it's only that edge that they pass you it to make that important message. I don't care about business cards. Here's mine. It's got a frayed edge. I mean, who cares? And then when you take the card, they don't present it like this. If you know different people, some people present it. The Japanese typically present the card like this, so it's two-handed. But this person actually presented it with a worn-off corner. Immediately, my mind said, I'll share this with you because this is the point about the immediate impact it has on the other person. Immediately, I thought, walk away, Neville. Just run. This guy is not really interested at all. He passed me the card, and I looked at the card, and it was embossed. It was thick. This frayed edge was done for effect, and all it had was his name and what they did. Not what they did as a company, but what they did for me. And it just said, your success is our aim. That's all it said. His name, your success is our aim, and a frayed edge. And that made a massive impact on me. And this was about, I would say about 15 odd years ago. And I still am friends with this person, despite the fact we've never done business together, but I'm still a friend. And we still, we still talk on a regular basis. So this is about impact. As everyone's been saying here, it's an elevator pitch because you don't have very long. It's a memory you want to leave that other person with, just in case they may not need your services, but they've got a big network and they may know someone that might need what you've got. Or equally, you might need what they've got. That's what great networkers do. They put people in touch with others, not for any reward. They're not looking at 10%, They just put other people in touch with other people. And that's how the network grows. So the importance of the elevator pitch is absolutely critical today. especially in this digital world. And when we've got video like this, you can actually see the person, how real they are, how successful they want you to be with their pitch, not I'm selling this, it's done this, it's done this. We can just switch off. So the world now is a lot smaller because of the digitization of what's going on. But that means it's now down to you being more critical about what these people out there have got to offer. So my suggestion, and I'm sure everyone else is, get your elevator pitch right. But remember, think of who you're talking to, because that's the most critical part of the elevator pitch.
So I think we had a great conversation today, and I like to thank all the panelists, Farida, Kanchan, and Neville, for their valuable inputs. And I think we are going back with a lot of learning today. I think the biggest takeaway from this discussion is that you need to have already defined your elevator based on your product offerings or services. And if you don't have an elevator defined or ability to create an elevator pitch, take help from the market, take help from the people who have experience of doing that. And as Neville said during the discussion, that the elevator pitch may differ from audience to audience. So make sure that you have elevator pitch designed or defined either by yourself or by taking some help from the market using a smart consultant. So thank you very much, all friends, and we will catch up again in the next CEO Roundtable. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.